And I will start the presentation. As I started, indeed, Deselect is a segmentation solution for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. If you have any questions, concerns, you would like to share your feedback, this is my email address. It will be also shared after the presentation. And indeed, we will have 3 call to actions. So just to give a first call to action, and this is our free Chrome extension. This is a very useful extension since myself, I often find myself very frustrating finding needed SQL query activity or data extension, data view, whatever. So this is really useful, and it's useful in terms that you can just go to your marketing cloud like I do, and you can just apply to look for certain data extensions. So here is the call to here's the link to try it out. I will copy the link and paste it to the chat so that everyone can try it out. So this is the link to Chrome extension. And we have lots of positive feedbacks, reviews, and lots of users. And indeed, if you have any suggestions, feedback, please do share it in the Chrome store. All right. And let's move on. So, how actually we came up with the idea to create Deselect, why it exists, and what is the reason of Deselect function as such. So we saw that most of Marketing Cloud marketers face the following challenges. First one, and we believe it's one of the important ones, is that marketers do not know SQL queries. Indeed, this is a problem. So we had some success stories where marketers actually did not know SQL queries at all, and well, some trainings were scheduled, but otherwise they just ask their technical colleagues to create queries for them. And well, it's one of the solutions. However, it takes lots of time, creates targeting ping pong, like lots of conversations, and creating tasks and sharing this requests. It takes time, which leads us to another challenge. Indeed, so the time is spent inefficiently, and indeed most of time goes just to creating a request, then understanding the request, sending the query, and so on. So this is how time goes, how time is being spent inefficiently, because sometimes campaigns are run through SQL queries or even Excel spreadsheets. And with Excel spreadsheets, you indeed can say you can spend lots of time just figuring out how to make it work. But the worst thing there that there is no error handling. So Excel will never prevent, let's say, different data fields, or will not say that okay, you cannot do this join because of several data mistakes, whatever, right? So indeed, it leads us to the poor targeting and personalization. It's very hard to make data extensions fields aligned for the AMP script fields. And also, well, it leads consequently to a dependency on the data team, which also takes a lot of time from the development team, product team. It depends on how you call it, but basically, it takes time from another team too. And for the projects where Marketing Cloud is still being just implemented, where the implementation time frame is being set up, usually that takes around 10 to 12 weeks, more or less. So, basically here, choosing an inappropriate solution, and when I say inappropriate solutions, like SQL queries, Excel, some other ways there are plenty of ways how you can segment your data. But if that one does not satisfy the criteria, it takes lots of time to rebuild it on the go, which will extend Marketing Cloud implementation time frame. Right. So we have thought about how we can improve this, and we developed the solution that's both intuitive. And when I say intuitive, I mean that we aim that no technical knowledge is required. So you don't need to know SQL queries at all to use it. And it's integrated. So when we say integrated, it means that it's inside Marketing Cloud. We are an App Exchange solution, meaning that data remains in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. You don't need to download or upload it, push it to another through API to any other, let's say, external solutions. It's being processed by Salesforce Marketing Cloud servers, and it remains in SFMC as such. So that's two main benefits and key advantages of deselect that we do highlight. And which leads us to the benefits. I will just briefly mention those. So, well, basically, we allow marketers play with SQL without writing SQL. We do this through the very intuitive user interface, which means that we increase continued user adoption. Well, basically, and the interface itself is very similar to the interface in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, which already gives marketers lots of power and understanding of how to do that. On top of that, we increase campaign ROI because, well, the less time you spend on segmentation, the more time you have to create new campaigns, and of course, more timely responses generate higher ROI of the campaign, and of course the number of campaigns is rising steadily. Then you can, of course, run more campaigns, and we just discussed, and you can reduce the marketing cloud implementation time for consulting projects. That's also quite important topic, since we can already help to define how data should be managed and segmented. The example that comes to my mind, that the most recent one that we already helped to save several days or weeks, no one knows how long it could take, but we already helped to define the flow from Salesforce CRM, from synchronized data extensions to Marketing Cloud standard DEs, and create some campaigns. So we do also help to reduce Marketing Cloud implementation time. When it leads to campaign cycles, so just long story short here, so on the bottom you can see an actual campaign cycle, and it consists of planning, audience segmentation, content creation, and reporting. So with deselect, you can actually do two parts here. You can do the prepare your data for reporting, because you can use calculations, aggregations. You can basically aggregate your data, calculate, apply some case when statements, well, and prepare the data for the visualization. But what we do focus on is this part, segmentation and audience creation. So basically, you can apply really advanced filters to do so, and which leads you to the saving of at least 20% of time spent per one marketing campaign. If you scale this to 1 year project, of course, the number of campaigns is rising, and the segmentation itself becomes much better. So I will not tell you the whole story behind this. There is a link that leads to our case study. If you would be interested, please feel free to check this out. And of course, the presentation and the link will be shared afterwards. Before we see the live demo, just to mention some success stories. And the first one is Cambridge University Press. And we have lots of success stories, but I just took the most interesting ones. And I will start with this one. And I personally do like this story. So here, actually, the thing that there was only one lady who managed all the data in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud at Cambridge University Press. As you can imagine, it's one of the largest publishers in the world, so their data amounts are quite extensive, and they did some of the parts in Excel, which was it was really time consuming. Well, currently they only need an hour to they only need less than 5 minutes instead of hours to segment their data. And why do I like this? They literally put a stopwatch evaluating the tool. So now even junior marketers, I mean, even graduates or interns are able to segment with minimal training. And the whole story is also available there using the link. Another story was with Practicing Law Institute. So here we had another consideration, and they were thinking about educating marketers how to write SQL queries on their own. So this was an idea to plan the trainings, to see how marketers would do that, and give them already the possibility of more in marketing automation team members, or even technical team, to be able to do that. Uh, but when we consider that actually the training cost would was really high, and well, it was not that efficient for them to learn it, Deselect actually could solve their need. So now they don't need to learn SQL at all. And yeah, so they do their selections using drag and drop, and yeah, so we prevented them from spending time on this. Last but not least is Village Roadshow, and also a very interesting story. You probably know them by the King Kong movie, the Matrix, the Joker, and all the movies you can see here on the right side. So their challenge was that they were dependent on a certain person who was writing SQL queries for them. And the thing is that well, it's just a human factor, and that yeah, so you cannot predict this, but the situation was that they were dependent on this person, and at some points he or she was not really available to yeah, support them further. So the main goal was to enable them to do it autonomously and not to spend time on looking for another person, which was the success story because we allowed them to do so, and they're not relying on SQL expertise anymore. Right. So now I suggest we can see a live demo. Please, yeah, everyone, feel free to raise any questions. And for those who watch us, who watch the recording, please feel free to send me the questions, yeah, or via LinkedIn or in email. Right. So then I can already go to my Marketing Cloud demo environment, and I would like just to emphasize that we will use these three data extensions: accounts, contacts, and opportunities. And I will show you the contacts data extension first. So just to give a quick understanding of the structure of these DEs, and these are pretty standard Salesforce CRM objects integrated into Marketing Cloud. So each of these data extensions have ID as a primary key, account ID to be linked to accounts data extension, and some information such as first name, last name, gender, title, yeah, and so on. So basic contact information. So we will work with those. And now we can already go to deselect. So to open deselect, the only thing that you need to do is just to open this button, App Exchange, and press deselect. So we are an App Exchange solution. We are a Salesforce partner. Hence, there is no need to do another login or yeah, so to go to another page. It's already implemented in Marketing Cloud, and you use single sign-on procedure to log in here. And once you open deselect, you see this selection dashboard. Well, this dashboard shows us all the selections created in deselect by all the users. And we can see that yeah, this is the demo environment. So yeah, all the selections are created by me. But if you work with several users, then you can actually see who created this selection and when it was done, when it was last modified, and so on. So this can be done by different users. But what is more important, and we see these use cases increasing, and it happens more and more often, that we allow marketers to create templates of their selections. So let's say if you would like to share or apply this selection called subscribers opt-in this week, you would like to use is as a basis or as a template, but adjust some of the filters and yeah, make some small adjustments. You can actually copy this, and you already have a copy of this selection out of the template and play with it up to your needs. So this is the scenario that we usually apply for high, huge enterprises and really big teams. So it really helps them. So each selection has a status. You can see ticks here. That means that it's already completed, and we had some results. In my case, yeah, it's different numbers. For example, this selection has 874 results. You can see who created it and all the information there. On the left side here, you can group your selections with folder structure. I do that by industries, as you can see, but you can group them by users, functions, departments, campaigns, whatever suits you. Last but not least are these two buttons. So it's settings and support. Settings button leads us to the administration panel where you can define deselect users and define pick lists. We will see pick lists in a moment, but it's a great function and it's a huge time saver that actually, yeah, you can just choose the values from your source data extensions fields just by from a drop down menu. Some users may know it already from Salesforce CRM, so we implemented this for Marketing Cloud too. And the support also leads you to the relevant support article of each deselect step. So you can, if you are stuck, if you have any problems, you can go there and read some relevant support cases. Right. So now let's create a new selection on the go, and this actually would be the overview of the selection creation process. For those who are familiar with SQL queries, this might already look very familiar and you might already see some similarities. But also for marketers who have no clue what SQL is and they don't want to know it, actually it's already quite understandable. So we will go through three easy steps. And first one would be the selection criteria. We will define our source data extensions. We'll define some filters. Then we will go to target definition. We will create our target data extension or use an existing one. And finally, we will see the preview of our selection. So also a very important step, because there you will be able to see the total number of records before running your selection, and also you'll see a structure of your data extension before executing the query. Let's give it a name, and we can give it say demo presentation. Voila. And now we can choose our first data extensions to be applied. It's important to mention that in deselect, from technical perspective, you can use all data extensions accessible to the current Marketing Cloud user. In other words, you can use synchronized data extensions, shared data extensions, standard, of course, standard DEs, and on top of that, you can also utilize data views such as send, click, journey, open, and so on, which opens a great possibility to do the behavioral segmentation, RFM analysis, and go much beyond standard segmentation capabilities. I will take first data extension called accounts, and I will drop it over selected data extensions. So here I can give it an alias, and alias is just a shorter name of your data extension. It will never change the original DE name, of course. It's only to be used in deselect and to see how that, to indicate a more suitable name for you within the selection. Right. Okay, and then I will add another data extension called contacts, and I drop it on top of accounts. Again, creating an alias. Voila. And I click save. Now this is the place where the magic for non-technical marketers happen. So we can create a data relationship or SQL query join by defining these three fields. So first we will choose account ID in accounts data extension, and we will choose account ID field in contacts data extension. And then we need to choose a certain data relationship type or SQL query join from this drop-down list. We do support all types of joins and all types of exclusions. For example, here you can see a left join. This is inner join, right join, and also it's written in a more non-technical way. Let's say it's accounts with matching contacts, accounts with or without matching contacts gets left join, and also exclusion. So accounts, let's say, without matching contacts. As you can see, really good graphical illustration here to see how that would work. I will use inner join or only accounts with matching contacts data relationship type. Then I add another data extension called opportunities and I drop it over accounts. I'm doing exactly the same here. I will apply inner join and I will join it based on account ID fields in both data extensions. That would be account ID and inner join. Here we go. And we click save. So now you can already see that all the data extensions are joined or the data relationship is being created. And well, so there is no limit on the number of data extensions that you can join. And also there is no limit on the number of data relationships that you can create. You can go yeah, up to several hundreds as you need here. So, well, we do not limit, uh, we do not place any limits here. Right, and then we move to available fields, and here you can apply some filters. To apply filters in deselect, you just need to drag and drop them over the filter section. All the fields are grouped by data extension names, so you can see they are grouped by account ID, yeah, so city, street, so on. Here are the contacts fields from the contacts data extension, and also fields from opportunities data extension. I will start with these two fields, stage and type, from opportunities and accounts data extensions. And exactly here we can see what is the pick lists function I had briefly mentioned in the beginning. So pick lists is that a possibility to choose one of these existing values in your source data extension without the need to open another tab, look for the values in your data extension and see what you should write in the filter section. So I will use just open value for stage, and I would like to look only for prospects. But to make it, let's say, even more realistic to do the requirements of actual marketing campaigns, we can apply another filter, and we, by the way, do support all the standard filters in Marketing Cloud. And on top of that, we support more advanced ones, such as begins with, ends with, is empty, does not contain, and so on. I will just use filter code in, and it allows us to use a multi-pick list selection. So I would like to find, let's say, open and closed won deals, but not closed lost. Right. So on top of that, you can also add more fields here and already group them by pressing these plus buttons, define and or logic, and yeah, do it more complicated. You can also do calculations and aggregations. There is a possibility to do subqueries. So these are more advanced functions that yeah, we will not look into them now, so it will take another half an hour or another hour, but just for the information, you can also calculate and aggregate values in deselect. Also, another function is that you can work with several data sources. You can basically create as many as you need, and they all will populate the same target data extension. It's a very useful function if you work with data sources such as Salesforce CRM, external data warehouse, or yeah, just manual import. Yeah, but you would like to combine all the data into the target data extension. So yeah, that's it. Now let's move to the second step called target definition. And here you can use either an existing target data extension here, or you can create a new one on the go. So let's create a new one right now. So we can write it demo E. And we can define that it should be sendable and testable, and we can already define the location for our data extension. That would be demo data in my case, right? So once you click save, you end up here, and you can drag and drop fields from your source data extension to the target one. How does that works? How does that work? So you can just drag and drop them like this. For example, I would like to take city, type, country, and so on. But to make it even faster, you can just press add all fields, and all the fields from this source data extension will be added and already mapped. So let's also take all the fields from opportunities data extension. Here we go. And you can edit each of the fields on the go. So if you work with yeah, more complicated target data extension, let's say you have two primary keys, as you can see I have. So now it's yeah, ID from opportunities and ID from contacts. Possible use case, but let's say you don't want to have two primary keys, you can edit and define or yeah, uncheck primary key checkbox, and you can also define nullable and default values here. So I will do a very quick cleanup because I don't need all these fields for the demo. And right, I will also delete. Yeah, I believe it's fine. So we can stay with these fields. Lastly, you can actually define the send relationship that will relate to subscriber on subscriber key. In my case, that would be email field that relates to subscribers on subscriber key. It's suitable for my data model, but you can use any field from your data extension, depending on your data relationship, of course. Right. And I can already click save data extension, and it's already saved and created in your Salesforce Marketing Cloud account. You can use it as any other data extension using Marketing Cloud interface. So it's a usual data extension, but as you can see, the process of creating this is much faster. Then you can also define data actions such as overwrite, append, or update. And I will stick to overwrite. Right, and here you can also see that we can define some custom values. This is really important function, since custom values are the following. You can use fixed values. So fixed value would be that you just define a certain number, date, text. For example, you can define a text that say, okay, new campaign to be targeted, or just to put a certain campaign name there. Yeah. Dynamic value would be a case when statement. Very quick example. Let's say we need to give it a name. Let's do it. Title. Right. So dynamic value would be a conditional populating your target data extensions fields. It's widely used for the AMP script personalization. And well, the easiest example would be to say that if gender equals male, then title should be Mr. Another criteria is that if gender is equal to female, then title should be Miss. And if gender is not specified or differs from these values, we can just say dear as the default salutation or title. So that's how you can create custom values. And also you can apply some formulas to fields. And the formulas are the following. You can actually transform dates. For example, you can change time zone, add several hours, minutes, days, weeks, etc., and define the format. So I personally love this function because I know it's different for different regions, but for people who are placed in EMEA, it's sometimes there's a difficulty to use Marketing Cloud servers because the time zone there is different. So I adjust my records by changing the time zone to the needed one, and that really helps me a lot to to align and stay within one time zone in Marketing Cloud. Right. And also on top of that, you can calculate the date difference for between two fields. And the first example that comes to my mind is calculate the difference between the birth date and today, so you can know what is the age of certain audience. Right. So these are the custom values. Also, on top of that, we do support deduplication and another very extensive function. We will not look into that quite well, not really deep, but just to mention that if you work with several data sources and you have record duplicates, we do help to define how to choose a certain record out of a certain number of duplicates. So if you work with several data sources, you may face this challenge, and indeed we do help to solve it there. Right. So this is the second step. We have created a new target data extension. We mapped our fields. We saw how you can create custom values, and basically we changed the data action to override, append, or update. And we could define a deduplication rules to basically set up rules on how to manage duplicates. And finally, we would also like to see the preview of our selection before running this, of course. To do that, I just click Run Preview, and you see our penguin sliding, meaning that your preview is being prepared. And the preview is that certain well, the number of 20 records will be displayed out of the total number of records. So, and usually users tend to use this preview because of three main reasons. Reason number one, you can see the total number of records before running your selection. Reason number two, you can see actually the values in your target data extension, such as yeah, you can see if you defined your dynamic values properly, if the filters give you the desired result, and yeah, and then you can also check the structure of your data extension like this. So if it suits your marketing campaign or not, you can already check this out. So we can do a very quick check. Let's say Rachel is a Miss and Jason is a Mr. So that seems to work correctly. And now we can either save this selection, and it will be saved in the yeah, in our it will be saved in the dashboard, or you can click Run, which will already run and execute your selection, and will run it in the background and populate your target data extension. So that's how you can create selections in Deselect. We have gone through all three steps, and you have seen how that actually works. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me afterwards. And if someone has questions now, yeah, please feel free to raise them.